everyone. How are you today? Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? I'm so excited to be here and talk to you about inclusive products and breaking into PM. So I'd love to make this interactive. I want to ask questions. I want to bring people up on the stage and have honest discussions about this fantastic field, which is being a product manager. So my name is Marilee. I've been a product manager for, I think it's been 7 or 8 years now. I work for Google right now. I build AR and VR products. Previously, I was building AI-based products, and I also teach product management, and I'm just very excited about this field. So with that said, I have prepared a couple of slides I would like to share with you. But as I said, I want to make this as interactive as possible. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I'd love to answer anything as I go. So first of all, today I will spend 5 to 10 minutes talking a bit about inclusivity and why it matters. So as I mentioned, I work for Google. I teach product management at Harvard Business School, and I support women in tech and diversity. I empower people that want to join tech, that are in tech, that are aspiring to join tech. I'm currently on Instagram, so if you want to reach out, I think Instagram is the best way. I have some interesting links. I have some tips for interviews in my bio, so please check me out and reach out there. Right, so a question I get often is, okay, so we care about diversity and inclusivity, but is building inclusive products a PM's job? And the answer is, well, as a PM, you are the one that decides the priorities. You are the one that can say, hey, we are not ready to launch this if it's not inclusive enough. You as the PM can make a difference at every single stage of the product development. And this is why I have this little captain hat on the right, because you're essentially kind of the captain of the ship, if that makes sense. And you represent the user within your company. So you decide, you can block things, you decide the priorities, make sure to keep inclusivity in mind. So why are inclusive products important in the first place? And the answer is because if we're not inclusive, then we're set for failure, right? So we are building products that are meant to reach as many people as possible. So non-inclusive products will not reach their full potential. We're going to spend a ton of money, a ton of effort, and then we're going to get lawsuits, PR damage, and we're just not going to have an impact. So it's very important to create inclusive products. I have some fun examples, as you see at the top left. So these are from machine learning algorithms, and essentially, there can be some unfortunate consequences. Like on the right, you can see, is this a chihuahua or a muffin? So mistakes like that happen. It's very normal, right? Or a labradoodle versus fried chicken, right? These results are being mixed. So most of the people who have been designing phones have been men historically. And the phone was too large for someone's hand. So it was just not inclusive. I remember, I think it was the very first iPhone, and it was just too big. I needed 2 hands. And non-inclusive products with inclusive marketing backfire. Okay, there was this disgusting ad from Dove. It had this awful marketing. But my point is, sometimes companies tend to disguise products that are not inclusive by providing inclusive marketing. So that's also very wrong. Right. So what can you do about it? You can hire a diverse talent in your team. Right. You can not be afraid to join a team that seems not diverse enough, because you can make a change. You can counteract bias at your current companies, and you can empower people and fight. I just love this ad from Apple at the right. It's just so inclusive with all the colors. I just love the graphics. So I love products that are very inviting to people of diverse backgrounds. And it's just a great practice. Empathize. This is an MRI scanner, as you see at the bottom right. There is a very quick story I'm going to say, but essentially there was a doctor, and then if you want to put a little child in an MRI scanner, they get scared, they freak out, and usually we need to give drugs to the kid to do it. But someone said, there must be a better way to do this. We can make this product more inclusive so that we're not going to have to drag our user into using it. So they designed these fantastic scenarios and experiences where you could go on like the space, or you could go like on a little submarine. And the results show that 90% of kids were just not being dragged anymore. And it was just fantastic, right? So we can empathize for our users, be more inclusive about who we're building apps for. All right, fight bias. So right before you launch a product, you can say, look, who is not included in this space? How can I fix this? Don't conflate diversity with inclusion, right? Different things. Employ inclusive innovation ambassadors. And because I want to bring this discussion back to, okay, so how do I become a PM, and how can I advocate for inclusivity? How can I build a diverse team? And I have actually built this little checklist that I hope is going to help you break into product. But essentially, let's start. Before applying for roles, I want you all to understand what the PM does. Like we talked about inclusivity, we said that the PM brings products to life for the users. The PMs are there to build experiences and launch something to the users. So before applying, even if you don't have any PM experience, try to put in your resume something around creativity. So if you've attended hackathons, you can put these hackathons and the projects you created on your resume. You need to be able to tell a story about who you are and your background. So, hey, I'm Marilee. I'm very passionate about bringing products to life. I always have ideas. I always like solving problems. So before even applying, get into this mindset, okay? Understand what PM is, build some experiences, and be able to tell a story about yourself. Now, when it's time to apply for roles, make sure to revamp your online presence because it matters, okay? Everyone I see in the chat are sharing their LinkedIn profiles, and it's amazing. Make sure things are up to date. I see very, very often people not having a profile photo or not having any information about their previous roles. Make sure to have a decent online presence. Do an offline revamp, meaning revamp your resume, right? A lot of people reach out to me and they say, hey, I saw this role I'm interested in at Google or somewhere else. And I say, well, can you send me a resume? And they said, oh, I need to update it. I need a week. So be ready. Do it. It matters. Spread the word. So tell your friends, your colleagues, tell LinkedIn that you're available for roles. And then apply to PM roles that you love, but also that you don't love. And the reason is you don't want to go interview to the role that's like your hero, your amazing dream job. You want to flex that muscle. You want to gain some understanding as to the process and how things work. So apply even if you're not excited about the role. Now, once you apply, sometimes, we'll get rejections. That's totally okay. So if you apply to 10, maybe you'll get, emails back from 3 or 2 or even 1. And then the first thing is a recruiter will reach out to you. And you need to talk to them about what you've done, why you want to be a PM. Make sure your passion comes across, and make sure you take this seriously. So there is a process for interviewing, right? They will tell you, look, in our company, we have 5 interviews. We have 10 interviews. But make sure to learn the process. How many steps are there? What do you need to do exactly? The more I knew about the process, the more comfortable I felt. So how many steps, what interviews am I going to need to code? You're not going to need to code. Am I going to need to solve a problem on the go? Is it going to be a discussion? So this is very, very important. Ask for time. So take the time you need to prepare for the interviews. Do you need like a month or 2 or 3? If they push you to do it immediately, you're going to be set for success, for failure. So push back, say, look, I need to take my time to do this right. Do mock interviews, okay? Reach out to people on LinkedIn, reach out to me, reach out to various friends and colleagues and say, hey, do you mind if I practice out loud these interview questions? It helps you flex the muscle. It helps you understand how interviewing works. So mock interviews, the skills are being improved. It's very, very important. Be prepared to fail, okay? I failed so many times. I have a lot of people that failed. People with their dream jobs, they've failed like 5 or 10 times before they joined it. It's totally okay. It is part of the process and it's fine. And then at the end, after you get up, after a couple of failures, you will succeed and it's gonna be worth it. So if you want to join as a PM and get a PM role, use this framework. I just love it so much. But most of all, adopt the PM mindset. So you need to think like a PM. You need to challenge the status quo. So if you think like a PM, it means that you're going to Starbucks and you look at, the app for ordering your Frappuccino and you say, okay, how would I improve this? What is the pain point am I facing? Why don't I like this? How do you challenge the status quo? You can say, okay, well, I still need to input my preferences there, but why do I need to do this? I can just think to myself and say, well, shouldn't this app know I'm approaching a Starbucks? Shouldn't this app know the usual coffee I get at 9 a.m. every day? There should be an automated way. So you can challenge the status quo. Empathize with your users. So see who's using your product. So who's using the Starbucks app, and see what their problems are and their pain points. Be creative. Advocate, right? Advocate about being a product manager. Advocate about creativity. Advocate about improving a door handle or improving a keyboard. You don't need experience as long as you have this PM mindset. And you will need that throughout this process that I have over there. Last but not least, you need to measure and have an analytical mindset. It's one thing to have a gut feeling and the intuition, but it's another to be able to say, look, here's how many people would use this feature. Here's how much ROI we would have. Here's how much money we could make, and so on. So having an analytical mindset is very, 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 very important. And this is a framework. I hope it helps you. I do have some frequently asked questions like, hey, I want to be a product manager, but I'm not creative enough. And my answer to you is Steve Jobs. He said, a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. So make sure to show users what they want because you're the PM. You understand things better. So what is the status quo and why challenge it in the first place, right? So the Tesla case, they created this fantastic new world where there is a vehicle that has frequent software updates, and it doesn't feel like another standard brand that you buy and then after 2 years it feels old because you get these frequent software updates. So with that said, I want to thank you. I hope this was a helpful presentation. I am available for anything you need. Join me on, as I said, I'm on Instagram. I'm available to answer questions. I teach product management, anything at all. Product School is a great place to learn and join this field. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to bring people up on stage or unmute. I'm here to help in any way I can. Okay, let's see. How do we access questions? There is a Q&A button. Let's see. So, is there a place? Okay, so some people say that they're very worried that joining product management is not for them, even though they think it's for them. What I want to tell you is that if you want to be a product manager, make sure to understand what it is, right? There is a buzz around it. It's a very popular role, but don't apply to jobs just for the sake of applying to jobs. So if you want to break into PM, know why you want to break into PM. And the reason I'm saying this is because people will ask and they will say, the first thing they will say at an interview will be, hey, why do you want to be a PM, right? Why do you want to join this company? So make sure to get this right. Any questions at all? I'm looking at the chat. Please feel free to ask away, or if you want to come up on stage, I'm happy to unmute you. So just let me know. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, some other questions I'm getting is, how technical do you need to be in order to become a PM? And my answer to you is, don't worry about that. You don't need to be technical. You just need to have technical understanding. You need to have a passion about technology that can come across. So for example, if you're hired to be an AI product manager, sure, you need to have a technical background. But if you are going through interviews for a generic PM track, then you don't need to have any technical background, but you need to show that you're passionate about technology and solving problems and so on. If you do want to learn things about coding and so on, I think it never hurts to go on Coursera and do a little course and a certification about, like an introduction to Python or anything like this. But to be a PM, you don't need a technical background. Don't worry about this at all. Let me see. Let me look at the chat. All right. Yeah, some people are asking how they can make the leap from adjacent roles to product management. So being a product manager, there's no standard path. I've seen people come from engineering. I've seen people come from business. I've seen people come from biology. So just make sure whatever role you have at the moment to put in your background information that are creative. So what do I mean? If you're a software engineer, come up with ideas on new features and ask your manager and say, look, for 10% of my time, I'd love to work on this new creative feature because it just makes me happy. I just love being creative. Do you mind if I do this? So at the end of the day, your resume will say, look, I've been a software engineer, but here's a feature I brought to the users, and I was proactive and I led it. If you are in marketing, you can say, look, to your manager, can I shadow the PM team? Can I go to the PM team and say, hey, I'm happy to work for free, get some experience in whatever it is you're doing, and kind of find a way to embed my current skills on this product world. These things are appreciated. We all need to hustle a bit. We all need to be proactive, but make sure to show in your resume that you have some indication of creativity and passion, because that's what hiring managers are looking for, right? So with that said, thank you. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm on Instagram. Anything at all I can do to answer. I do think that our time is up. I do see questions keep coming in. I'm happy to answer everything at all that you might need. Oh, actually, we do have 5 more minutes, so I'm happy to answer even more questions. Let me see. Okay. All right. So someone is asking how I got the job at Google, and my answer is I joined Google like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was after I was finishing a PhD in machine learning. I was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship from Google to do the PhD in machine learning, but they didn't know what product management was. So when I decided, when I was finishing up my PhD and I was kind of talking to people, someone told me, look, machine learning is great, software engineering is great, but if you have ideas and if you're creative and if you like collaborating and communicating with people, and if you're personable and have like the storytelling skills, there's this role called product management. I had no idea what that was about. I was just like thinking, okay, is this a business thing? What is going on? And that's when I just reached out to someone on LinkedIn that said product manager at Google. And I asked and I said, okay, what is this about? What do you do? Do you like it? And they said it's incredibly rewarding. It's a great role to get into, but they said you need to prepare for these interviews. And just because they said that, I realized that, okay, it's not like an easy thing. I needed to take my time. I actually took 3 months to prepare. So I was studying for these interviews for a while. Essentially, interviews at Google and at other companies consist of always something which is like product thinking or design thinking or product sense, if you will. It has a different name on each company. And essentially, people will tell you, look, how would you design a product for this user group? Or how would you improve X product? And then this is where you kind of need to think backwards and think about, okay, who is my user? How am I going to solve their problems? What are their problems? And you need to be very inclusive, like I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. You need to be able to truly empathize with them and understand what's going on. So after you answer this question and you say, okay, here are the problems, here are how I'm going to solve them, you need to be able to prioritize features based off of, okay, what is easiest to build, what is going to have the highest user impact. So you kind of need to create this roadmap that's based on assessing trade-offs. And then after you start building, you need to be able to measure success for these features, and you need to be able to say, okay, this is the metric that matters the most for this thing that I want to create. This is the metric that I think is secondary, but is still kind of important. So you always need to go through this exercise. And after graduating college 8-9 years ago, it was such a weird concept to me, right? Coming from engineering. Engineering was more like ABC. So I had to take a step back, do a lot of mock interviews. I failed a lot of interviews at other companies, so it was a great learning curve. There's always going to be kind of an analytical interview or an execution or anything along these lines where you need to dive into metrics more. So, okay, how many metrics can we have? How do we prioritize the metrics? How do we convince people that what we want to do is actually the best thing for our product and our users? So you need to truly be able to speak numbers. And I'm not saying doing calculations as you go, but I mean making guesstimations as you go. So you can say, look, San Francisco has X amount of users, of people. Out of these people, this is the amount that would be in our target group, so like a specific age group or like professionals or anything like this. And you take this assumptions and hypotheses and you kind of keep diving down. So this is kind of the funnel that you need to pursue for analytical and execution interviews. And then after moving forward, there's always going to be another question, about how you work cross-functionally with other teams, any leadership that you have been demonstrating, and how do you kind of achieve impact across different orgs. So I think this is more related to your experiences in your current company, and I'm sure there's a lot of content you can use there because you don't have to be a PM to be able to do this. So maybe that's another good tip for you if you want to break into PM. Make sure to have things to say around relationships that you've created, ways that you can get buy-in from other people in your company, because these are skills that are transferable, right? So it's very, very important. So I hope this question is answered. I know it was long, but essentially, yeah, after graduating, I took 3 months to kind of study all that and be able to pass these interviews. I failed a lot. I learned a lot, and it was a good experience. Okay, any more questions? Please use the chat. Please let me know if you'd like to come up. I know we have a couple more minutes. Let's see. There's a Q&A here. Okay. All right. Okay, these are all good questions. Yeah, we can talk about inclusivity a bit more. So how can we have products that are more inclusive when it comes to pricing strategies? That's a great question. Well, there are many different business models when it comes to monetization and pricing. Of course, there are different price points. You can always have something for students and say, look, if you're a student, you get this discount, but we need to make sure to check you're a student. So you may need to add like a check, an automated check where people can upload their student ID, and you can go in and check either manually or automatically that they're a student in order to be able to give them a discount. You can have scholarships for free for people that want to use your product and learn. You can have a freemium model and say, look, you can access this content. It's going to be free if you want to access X amount of things, and then the rest is going to be more premium. There are many different ways you can monetize while also being inclusive for people that may not have the funds to use your product. And of course, there are other ways like introducing ads to your product, so it's going to be free for the users, but the experiences might be a bit worse if there are ads around. So that's kind of the concept. I'll take one more question, and I see that people say, look, I see someone calling themselves the failed entrepreneur, and I don't use this term. I am a failed entrepreneur, but it's helped me so much throughout my career, because as a failed entrepreneur, you can demonstrate leadership, you can demonstrate creativity, you can demonstrate fantastic collaboration skills. So it's a great thing to use if you want to be a PM. A lot of times, if a company is being acquired into a bigger company, the founder becomes a product manager. So that says something. And if you're an entrepreneur, being a PM is very natural, and it's really, really great. Well, with that said, thank you so much for attending the session. I hope it was helpful. Reach out to me. As I said, I am on Instagram. I do little trainings for passing interviews, anything at all that it is that you may need. But yeah, thank you so much for the invitation, Product School. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for you to be here, and I am wishing you all the best to break into PM. And after you break into PM, to give back to the community and present as well your thoughts to young technologists and product managers. So yeah, thank you all so much, and keep reaching out for anything I can do for you at all. Yeah, thank you, and you're welcome.